Alright guys, boomer moment. Just realised my microphone was muted. Still doing some recordings. We have the Squadron 42 report. It's literally just come out. Like as in I just walked in the door and I got a on my phone from Robert Space Industries. So let's break it down. Though this video will be a bit later because I'm going to be a little bit fancy with it. But let's go through and break it all down. So last month, AI tech continued to improve the collision avoidance systems to give better results when ground vehicles pass each other or NPCs. They also added support for drivers driving along a predefined route, similar to how NPCs can move along a path. For this case, the designers can specify certain properties for the route, like maximum permitted speed, which direction it should be driven, and if it should loop. So that means, like, for example, like maximum speed would then allow it to go through and determine whether to be on roads or off-road or whatever it may be. Workers then began on dynamic pathing to regeneration feature to improve how NPCs find and follow alternative routes. For example, if a hazard, tree fallen, vehicle stopping, fire hazard, impacts a nav mesh triangle, the navigation volume will notify all related paths to check if the new requests are submitted. The first stage of this was implemented an anchor structure to keep track of locations, navigation meshes, and triangles, which was notified when the triangle is changed. These navigation anchors are then used to understand when the parts of the triangle are modified and to check if the new pathfinding is needed. What that basically means, guys, is that it goes through and obviously it breaks the planet up into squares or triangles, and basically if it's noticed that one of these triangles has an obstacle, it will try and find a route around it using other triangles that might be free. May also saw AI tech begin investigating and implementing a solution for NPCs entering and exiting ships from EVA using the external doors of an airlock system. For this, they set up a ship and seat access as usable to allow NPCs to find their closest entry point, fly to it, trigger the right interaction. Then also had the account for trigger to find the right interaction. They also had the account for the ship's rotation velocity and allow for NPCs to adjust their orientation as they approach. Okay, so like for example, if the ship is like spinning out of control or something like that, obviously at the end of the day, it will, to a certain point, if it's spinning around at like 400 degrees or 400 meters a second, they're probably not going to be able to do it. But if it's like slightly rotating or whatever, it will allow you to go through, and the NPCs will automatically account for that, which is pretty cool. And this is obviously leading to like boarding missions and stuff too, which is cool. On the AI tool side, improvements continued for both the usability coordinator and the Apollo subsumption. For the usable coordinator, which is them using items, optimizations were made to the code and logic flow. They updated the visual and changed to a new usable data view tool too. For Apollo, the team implemented find reference functionality with support for subsumption functions. I think Apollo is the brainchild or the AI or the logic system that allows them to find out what to do. So it sort of like fills in the gaps. That's my guess. Obviously, at the end of the day, the usable coordinator, I think, is them using items. But the Apollo, I believe, is them going through, and I may be wrong on this, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's them finding out what they need to do to the thing. So those systems work hand in hand. AI tech also completed various support tasks, including creating flow graph nodes for all assumption assignments to help the designers create scripted AI behaviors. More variable types for use of assignment inputs were added alongside support for the usable system, tactical point system, and Alpha 3.19. So at the end of the day, some really good progress made with AI. Yeah, I love the fact that they're talking about them being able to board like through EVA and stuff. And obviously them using tools and items is obviously great because that's leading up to like AI crew and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. The animation. The facial animation team continued to create assets for PU specific character types, this time relating to missions and gameplay. So that's very non-specific, but yeah. Creators. In May, the character art team began working on 2 outfits for the Dusters game and 1 for the Headhunters. Alongside this, character concept art prepared handoff documents for further Duster outfits. So, cool. Ships. In the UK, the vehicle content team moved to as yet unannounced ship through White Box stage and is currently in Grey Box with both the interior and the exterior progressing well. So they said as announced, unannounced yet, as of yet. So that's something we have not heard of. A new ground vehicle variant processed through the Grey Box Stage 2. I'm wondering if this is the variant for the Tonka tank, for the new tank that we saw at the Storm, or if it's a variant for the Origin sort of like buggy sort of like thing. The team approached the end of their pass on the vehicle tractor beams. This is interesting. So it might be in 320. This includes working on the Origin 315P, the Drake Caterpillar, and the Cutlass Black. Oh, maybe we're going to get gold standard for Cutlass Black. Consolidated Outlander Nomad, and the Hull C. Interesting. Didn't know the Hull C had tractor beams, but okay. So team approached the end of their pass on the tractor beams. This included work on the the Drake Cutlass and the Caterpillar and the Cutlass Black don't actually have physicalized components at the moment, which kind of sucks because both of those are the machinima and we need them. So if they can do a polish pass on that, that'd be great. I'll be keen for that. Development of the Crusader Sprite continues. The C1 is almost grey box complete, which is really good, which means we'll probably get it for... I doubt we're going to get it for 320, maybe, but maybe a 320X patch, or maybe a 321. While the A1 had its LOD review scheduled for early June. Interesting. Okay. Might get it for 320. Maybe like a 320X. The MISC Freelancers component rework progress through the final art stage with LODs mostly finished, the same polished task outstanding. It's due to the final art this month. It's due to finish final art this month. Last month, the team began preparing the RSI Polaris for White Box. Now, this is a sizable capital ship. So, interesting. We are breaking the vehicle down and planning a resource pack so that an interior can be constructed out of reusable elements, which is what we already had they were going to do anyway, which is cool. We also spent time reviewing the concept to highlight any areas that would need additional design time due to new gold standard requirements, which was done by the EU vehicle team. In the US, the Tumbrel Storm approached the end of its LOD grey box stage, obviously because, we saw it, with the team applying the materials, palms, and decades to the exterior and interior. This is currently in the polishing stage with the devs turning the visual balance. This is in a current polish stage with the devs tuning, the visual balance. That's fine. Yep. They also applied wear to the entire exterior and prepared to begin customizing work with various paints. The vehicle interior lighting is nearly complete, with the upcoming pass planned for the exterior. Grey box on the Ampokyo Sentakiai, I might be mispronouncing, is mostly complete, with only dash work remaining. We might see that 321, I'd say. And there's a quote here: "We have been generating a new set of textures to be used for labeling the dashboard button, as well as creating a new damage map to show through the gaps in the armor." So we have been generating a new set of textures to be used for labeling and the dashboard buttons, as well as creating a new damage map to show through the gaps in the armor, which will be unique to Alpaca. Okay. We're also creating new POM sheets, which also will be unique to Alpaca, US vehicle team. So, in the community teams supported the completion of the Alpha 318 patch cycle and launch of the AA 319 called Adventure by producing a. Do we really need to check out the community? Not really. Not that I don't care what the community does. I'm more interested in like game assets and stuff like that. So engine. Part of the core engines team work last month was supporting Alpha 3.19. A major element in this was enabling design to overwrite density lifetime manager settings based on Spraddle markup. Once design utilized this, the engine team could be able to add specific cleanup rules to different areas of the game. For example, some areas could be cleaned up more aggressively and prevent persistent items from negatively affecting gameplay. So that would be like, for example, with like hangars and stuff like that. They obviously want that area cleaned up faster because that means that obviously they get the landing pads clean and stuff. But then also in other areas like on planets and stuff, they obviously want the cleanup to be slow, so they have persistent items. So that's just them going through and working the engine and putting in extra code to sort of allow them to have that option. The team also progressed with their work on Starbuild. Okay. Adding the remaining Linux support, Starbuild is now the feature partly with the old code build system and will be rolled out to other departments soon. I don't know what Starbuild is. Let me double check. So guys, I just did a quick Google search and I can't find anything about this Starbuild, so I wonder what that is. But we'll see. So Starbuild is now on feature partly with the old code build system and will be rolled out to other departments soon. Right. For the renderer, the team started moving legacy Gen 12 code, or removing Gen 12 code. Okay, cool. This there is a lot to remove, but this will result in learner to easier to maintain render code when completed, and also hopefully also speed up frame rates too. The core engine team also progressed with the generic shaping system, adding editor support to save generic as well as remaining shapes. Multiple segments will be added before it's handed to the designers to use. Don't know what that is, but anyway. For Memory Play 2.0, The teams are currently adding more features, including file open dialogues, faster loading, and async symbol resolving to get ready for wider use. They're also adding optimization and continuing to stabilize their feature stream to integrate it back into the main development stream. I don't know what memory play is, but we'll find out, I suppose. Last month, the physics team focused on improving and bug fixing the new method for tracking unique geometry parts. Then they improved class simulation for better simulation results, updated the rope and pulley system, which is obviously cool because that leads to like caving and stuff, and added cantilever simulation support. Cantilever, so I don't know what that is. Finally, physics supported vehicle on tech issues and investigated performance issues with Alpha 319 for the release team. So, obviously, Arena Commander, a lot of this we've already just heard about and we'll probably hear about today, tomorrow. Yep, tomorrow on Inside Star Citizen. But last month, the engineering team began a full refactor of how the game rules system serializes networks, variables, and communicates with the server, which will make it compatible with server meshing. Working also continued on a full refactor of the spawning module, which is obviously what we're seeing in Arena Commander. And also this allows them to go through and have crew spawning, which they've already talked about. Initial work completed on a new game rule mode. This was handed off to the Squadron 40 team for expansion and will initially be used to allow them to set varying parameters based on select difficulty modes. However, the feature team is expected to pick it up again after the Alpha 320 for use in Arena Commander's PvE game modes. A refactor was also done on how the loading screens are utilized. The teams are currently experimenting with having separate game modes, loading screens that update to show the map once the response from the server confirms where the client is heading. So it's sort of like they do with COD and Battlefield, I think, where it shows you the map when it's loading in. This will fix a long-standing issue of loading screens inaccurate showing the map players are about to enter. Okay, yep. The rework of the team balancing and completing scoring also began last month. This will enable groups of players to stay together more consistently, balance teams based on leaderboard stats, and enable new mechanics, allowing players to volunteer to switch teams if an imbalance is detected during a match. For competitive scoring, the teams are currently experimenting with various adjustments, including awarding high scores based on the KDA rankings of opponents and awarding low scores for killing the same player repeatedly. Finally, engineering began experimenting with increasing max server FPS, decreasing actor decay buffer, and increasing packet rate in effort to reduce latency and desync in Star Marine. In May, the Arena Commander's design team began converting Theaters of War spawn screen to most other game modes. A what? Theaters of War. This allows players to select their general spawn area, customize FPS loadouts from within matches, and select FPS and vehicle loadouts on the fly. Working also progressed on upgrade to Vandal Swarm, with the team experimenting with new gameplay mechanics. The conversion of Security Post Kreia was also completed, which allows to add the new map to all game modes except Classic Race. The team also polished the track layout for the fourth new addition to the New Horizons Speedway collection, the Hullable Circuit, while putting the finishing touches to the first atmospheric arena. The arena Winners Circle will be available in all dogfighting game modes. Finally, the design VFX team completed a pass on all location features in Arena Commander to increase their overall visual quality. So, some pretty cool stuff there, but like I said in the other video before, like, Arena Commander's cool, and I know why they're working on it, and I get it, but it's just, I'm more interested in PU, but I get why it's there. I'm not knocking it. I know it's important. I like features. Alright, so, features. Speaking of, last month, the feature team worked on ammo repooling, which allow players to redistribute the ammunition stored in their suit and inventory to maximize their number of full mags. So this is basically taking ammo out of like half clips and putting them into full clips. So comparing, you get 2 half clips and then you'll be able to make like a full clip out of it. That's cool. That is really cool. I'm looking forward to that actually. Once completed, it will make it less likely a player is left with a large number of magazines containing a few bullets each. It will prioritize filling up the magazine in the weapons first. The team also explored a new negative actor status triggered by radiation. Okay. Radiation can be generated from a point emitter, which has a bigger impact on character the closer they are to the source. They can be ambient within a room. Radiated water is also explored with the effects of an actor based on how submerged they are. Okay. When a character is affected by radiation, the protection of their outfit will start to decay. Once protection is gone, the actor will suffer radiation sickness and will need to seek medical aid to recover. The outfits will regenerate its protective layer over time. I really like the sound of that, Ashley. That's cool. And that might be also important for like pyro too, because like for example, you might come across like irradiated planets or like solar flare or a pulsar or something like that. Features, gameplay. Montreal PU team focused on proof of concept investigations of the entity removal deconstruction trash bin feature. Yes, please do something with the trash bins, because we have all these bins laying around, and if we were able to throw stuff in the bins and then it despawns, that would be really cool. The features team test-driven development will be based on these investigation results and proof of concept findings, the layer of which was completed last month. The team also supported the Vehicle Died event, which was used by soft death and vehicle destruction, and made more quality of life bug fixes for Alpha 3.19.1, staging content and game dev. I like the them working on this system for vehicle death. I was impressed the other day. I was able to take all the missiles and stuff out of my Star Runner when I blew it up. So yeah, that was cool. As you know, the Star Runner's missiles are actually in the ground, but you can actually glitch them out into the floor and then actually throw them in the back of like a cutlass. Plus an issue with the RSI Constellation Series Copilot seat UI not connecting properly to the IFCS was fixed in the content files. This is combined with the code fix aimed at the UI rules to prevent it from only tracking the pilot. These changes also created the potential for other ships to have their Copilot UI upgraded properly if needed. Cool. Feature missions. The feature mission team continued to work on their ship escort data heist and consignment retrieval missions and added the finishing touches to the new unlawful salvage mission, where the ship must be stripped of incriminating paint job before law enforcement arrives. So maybe stripping the paint job from pirate ships. That'd be cool. Another exciting development that is that we are exploring new lightweight PvP, PvE events set aboard a modified version of the Siege of Orison barge, in which players must figure out how to open shipping containers in order to steal the items within, while 9-ton outlaws hold down the location for themselves. We've heard about this actually in Inside Star Citizen. For Alpha 3.19.1, the team rebalancing cargo generation with the ships across various mission types, including salvage, assassination, and bounty hunter. This involves removing unstealable commodities and ensuring the profit fits the risk involved. Mission features actively worked on the refactoring old missions into the current modular library, including missing persons. Alongside this, they refactor how they destroy drugs mission works and made parts of them modular. For example, the previous mission spawned hundreds of individual boxes, but with the help of the new code, they can now simply spawn pallets that come with drug box loadouts. Okay, cool. Alongside significantly improved performance and reliability, this method allows the team to control the number of pallets spawned from different mission difficulties. Sweet, love it. Mission features ongoing work on Bounty Hunter 2, version 2 progressed well too. The designers are currently working with the systematic service and tools to develop system requirements to have virtual NPC bounties travel across the system, or around the system. One of the engineers, with the help of the Interactables team, is also developing a method for pods to attach to points in the world so they can seemingly enter and exit the game space. Also developing a method for pods to attach to points in the world. Okay. Finally, designers supported Invictus launch week while involving fixing bugs and maintaining the Expo Hall's transition system. The Javelin Tour and Bengal Free Fly as well. Cool. So we're up to graphics, VFX, program, and planet tech. Alright, so the graphics feature team spent the month working on performance and improvements and new features including screen space shadows, improvements to quantum jump tunnels, and render to texture zone culling. The GPU memory allocator is an upgraded resource cache compiler where among the new performance boosting upgrades, while the evolving temporal space resolution, trying to say that 5 times fast, an automatic upscaling system that can now be upsampled opaque objects officially passed its first milestone. I have no idea what a lot of that does, but the culling thing is where it goes through and removes objects that are no longer being seen by the player. So, yeah, sounds cool. The global elimination is well underway. So far, the first iterations of harsh map-based Radiance Cache, Ray Generation Code, and Ray Tracing Prototype were completed. Right. Cool. Ray Tracing, maybe? Improvements to Gen 12's... well, I suppose Gen 12 would have Ray Tracing, right? So it makes sense. Improvements to Gen 12's validation error debugger were made to improve the accuracy of bug detection for faster issue assessment. In preparation for the deferred renderer graph exclusion, Vulcan's frame synchronizer was improved. Okay, they're working on Vulcan. That's cool. Issues with gaps in pipeline resources set a binding time were resolved with a remap update that uses continuous resource set layouts. I have very little idea what they're talking about there, but obviously Vulcan is big. So it sounds like they're getting ready to start looking at working with Vulcan. Now, like I say, they're looking at updating the frame. So that's like the base of it. So, like, I wouldn't expect it anytime soon. But they're working on it. The Planet Tech team started finalizing quantum obstacle generation with generic shapes in asteroid fields. A collision issue detector and wear, dirt, and paint modifiers were also added to the Rastar tool. So a collision issue detector. So that's obviously it's stopping putting down items because of collision detection and stuff. Wear, dirt, and paint modifiers was like, for example, like dirt for like ships that have been like left around and stuff. That's all pretty cool stuff. That is basically them using Rastar to build assets, to build outposts and stuff like that. And it seems like it's all to do with them, like making sure that when they put objects down, it's not going to collide with another object. It's also talking about obviously like wear and tear, dirt, scuffed paint, stuff like that. So it's like giving like more livable feeling when it comes to the universe. So pretty cool. And if they can do that with like ships and outposts and stuff, that'll be definitely interesting. There's always one question I have is like we have these ships that are like in soft death and laying around the universe, right? But you go inside and they're like completely clean. But the ship might have been like in game laying there for like a month. It's like, well, technically there should be a whole bunch of dirt and sand and stuff, and like, are they going to be able to put that in there maybe? Like, sounds like it. Ongoing improvements to a biome builder will reduce constant spawning, despawning, which will in turn relieve the physics team of a large destruction queues. Water can now be simulated in-engine and feature with the new disturbance component improvements. Cool. We now have physicalized water. Finally, recent VFX features and bug fixes saw several direct improvements to both the editor and core tech framework. For example, the new master VFX library can resave and export the P2 format, and particles can now be found in a dedicated effects browser. Bugs relating to damage maps, partial effect placements, and ink editor crashes were solved too. So all very cool work. In-game branding. Montreal. In-game branding team continued working on interior and exterior signage for Ruin Station and supported the EU locations team. Lighting. In May, the lighting team worked on Invictus launch week and continued to produce content for the Pyro system. This was mainly focused on Ruin Station's exterior and lighting modes for its interior. Live tools. The Live Tool team continued to study the usability of the Network Operations Center and are now starting to collect the results. This will allow them to establish an action to highlight improvements needed to prioritize the future. The team also released a new version of the internal error handling pipeline, which features significant improvements to its overall processor. Locations. In May, the locations team continued working on Pyro, making good progress on Ruin Station. God, that station must be huge. They supported Invictus Launch Week 2. Between major tasks, one of the artists worked on a new racetrack, which was shown in recent episodes of Inside Star Citizen. The Sandbox team further developed planetary content for Pyro and continued to support the Montreal-based team on the new underground facilities. Cool. Love to hear about those. The Organics team created new fauna for Pyro and are creating reworking comb of the upcoming system's planets. I think that's supposed to be some of the upcoming system's planets to bring them up to current expectations. We also have some very cool content that we're working on alongside this. We will share more in a later date. And that was done by the Organics team. So, that's a racetrack. Cool. Narrative. Over the course of May, the narrative team continued working on several of the missions Interactive started in previous months. Initiatives started in previous months, including data heist, package extraction, consignment retrieval. They also worked on the various designing teams to brainstorm new mission ideas. Narrative also kicked off further discussions on Pyro, specifically going over the areas of influence of the system's various fractions, as well as defining which groups are alien and allies and rivals. During the recent motion capture session, the team recorded the first air traffic control assist for cargo and will be looking to review and redefine the wider experience in further months. The team also began polishing and implementing a new tourist behaviour that will debut in upcoming patches. Narrative also dedicated several of their weekly jams to exploring some of their diverse alien cultures and answering questions from some upcoming Xeno language development. Finally, the dispatch front, the team released a portfolio outlining the history of Invictus last week, a Whitley's Guide to Prospector Mining Ship, and wrapped up the month with another batch of galactic entries. Online Services Montreal. In May, the online service team applied fixes to the character repair system, enabling players to fix some login and other issues without requiring CIG support. They also provided bug fixes and optimization for ASOP terminals. The remainder of the month was spent optimizing persistent entity streaming to improve the performance of its back-end database. Research and development. In May, the R&D continued to improving the temporal render mode for atmospheric and volumetric clouds. Additionally, planetary terrain height map generation was optimized to eliminate frame rate hitches that were reported by players, alongside from using a more suitable partitioning system or scheme from the Tesseract, whatever it is, for terrain patches. The changes also included terrain quad viewpoint culling before further tessellation by the GPU. The resulting height maps are later used to render large-scale planet terrain, shadows, and spawn GPU partitions on the ground. Cool. Sounds very technical. So, almost there, guys. System, service, and tools. They spent the month working towards bounty hunting for 2.0, including finalizing upstream work on the character creation service, R&D for bounty contract missions, a bounty markup prototype, and connecting the NPC's tracker service to the game server. Additionally, a new C-hash service wrapper was completed. The team also continued working on the Quantum Odin tool. Cool. Including making progress on the data-driven economy, quantum state, quanta life, and the battle matrix and battle system. I want to hear more about Quanta. Finally, SST continued to support their recent live event release, including several bug fixes and ship price modifications. UI. In May, the UI team artists designed workers on their user interface for Bounty Hunter, as well as concepts for upcoming gameplay features, while the Arena Commander team upgraded the multiplayer game's front-end menus. The UI tech team continued improvements into their tool, including making performance fixes, improvements to the debugging of the complex UI screens, and then also continuing to work on the new interior mini-map feature, or mini-map. This is initially for Squadron 42, but will eventually be added to the PU, making navigation caves and landing zones a smoother experience. We need the new map system very badly. The old map is terrible. VFX. Last one, guys. The VFX team revised several old particle libraries to take advantage of the newer attributes that didn't exist when they were originally created. For example, alpha erosion is a setting that erodes a particle's alpha channel. Wow, okay. Reducing overall transparency in the progress and helping to optimize the game's visuals. This was used effectively in Lorville, recently updating chimney smoke effects. Work also continued on several new derelicts and modular kits for various pyro locations. Holy dilly, there's a lot. Guys, look, obviously this is a massive update. A lot of this stuff I am so excited for. And a lot of it is like, people always give CIG crap for not like having like the new game modes and stuff. A lot of this stuff doesn't mean a lot to us now, but it's stuff that you'll see in the background that you might even not notice that just makes the game look so much better. Like, for example, the alpha channel thing, right? Removing the alpha channel. Like they say, okay, everybody will sit there and think, well, so what? But then, like they say, it was used with, like, the smokestacks. Or clouds, maybe, in the future, or whatever it may be. So, at the end of the day, it's like stuff like that you see in the background that doesn't mean a lot at the time, but makes a big difference to, like, just, like, game beautiful and mechanics and stuff. Guys, apart from that, let us know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. The Squadron 42 one, I believe, is coming out as well. I will go through that, guys. But as for the PU, I'm loving it. I'm looking forward to it. Let me know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. If this video has been helpful, please smack that like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, I will see you in the next demonetized video from YouTube. I'll do the Squadron thing tomorrow. Have a great night, guys. Enjoy.